Hey everybody, Coach Stacy, and I'm here with Allie, and we are finishing up our November focus on preparing your brain for competition, or for you coaches, preparing your gymnast brain for competition. And so we started out working on visualization. We moved into affirmations and creating a affirmation from each event that would create the emotion that's going to fuel them on that event. And then last week we added in now giving the keywords that are going to help them focus on what actions they're actually going to be taking. So what we like to do this week is actually wrap it all together into mental choreography. Now, that mental choreography looks a little bit, it looks like what you might be familiar with mental choreography. It's like going through your routine and you have your words that you say. But we actually like to expand it even a little bit further. It's like, what are you going to say from the whole place? So what am I going to say before I step up onto that vault runway? What am I going to say when I'm standing at the end of the vault runway? What am I going to say when I go down the vault runway? What am I going to say when I end? And so we're basically putting together a routine that they're going to train their brain to follow every single time they do a routine in a meet. And the way they do this, of course, is practicing it starting now. So as you're putting full routines together, as you're showing routines, as they're practicing those routines, ideally they would start practicing this mental choreography along with it. So what we usually do with the girls that we're working with is we have them write it out this week. And then starting from here on, their assignment is to have that mental choreography written down with them to start applying it every single time they're in the gym, so that by the time they're in competition, it will be ingrained, that they will think about these words every time. And what this will do is it will help anchor their brain when they're in competition. Allie, kids tell us all the time, I just need to not think when I'm in competition. I overthink. I just need to not think when I'm in competition, and just trust my training. Tell me your thoughts on that.
My thoughts is those are the gymnasts who can't focus their brain on the specific things that they need to be successful in a meet. And so their brain is everywhere and they're trying to think things that are positive, but they don't believe, that aren't actually helpful. They're trying to think of 5 corrections or make major changes to skills at a meet. And they're trying to, when they're like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, have you ever done that at practice? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay, let's have a talk about that then. It's just, they have these expectations and these ideas, but with no focus behind it and no base. And so what I want to tell them, and so then they think, because that doesn't work, they're thinking of things that they don't believe doesn't work. They're thinking of 20 corrections doesn't work. Their magical change in the entire skill doesn't work. And so then their idea is, oh, none of this works. My brain isn't helpful, so I'm going to try and shut it down.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is they think they don't think. And then what ends up happening is their brain can't not think. That's really not possible for you to have nothing going on. You have 60,000 thoughts a day. And so then you're having unorganized thoughts and your primary brain is going nuts and sending unhelpful thoughts. And so it just continues to be a battle of stop thinking. Then they just start yelling at themselves, stop thinking. And you're like, okay, that's just saying don't fall. That's going to be the result. And so it gets really, really frustrating for them. And so what this actually does is gives them something to think about and gives them things that they have evidence from in practice and visualizations and hopefully other meets, things that have helped them before, so that their brain doesn't fight with them or argue with them about them when they're in these newer situations, so that they can be like, okay, they take their deep breath. They say, I'm so powerful. They feel energized. They run towards the vault. They think, squeeze their butt. They see their landing and then they're stoked. This is definitely not me. They are. If it was, I'd use a little more inappropriate language. I did not. I talk to myself, but in like a fun way,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's just one of those things then, no matter what meet I was at, no matter if I was in a home meet, in a national competition, and a away meet, like I was able to pull myself into a safe, believable space for myself to do my gymnastics. And then I could deal with the small things that felt different, the springboard or the slippery mats or whatever else was going on, right? There's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That beam is so much harder. It's so good. Yeah.
Speed equipment. The drama of speed equipment, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
All right. But yeah, and so I always joke with them like, don't think about a purple zebra. Don't think about a purple zebra. Whatever you do, no matter what, stop thinking about a purple zebra. And of course, all your brain is then thinking about is trying to not think about a purple zebra. So it's thinking about a purple zebra. And so when they tell themselves, just don't think, just don't think, just do, let your body do the thing. The problem with that is that they're focused on not thinking. And so then they're even more intensifying thinking about the things they don't want to be thinking. Because really what they're focused on is don't think about the negative things.
Yeah.
And so then they're focused more on that. And so what we want to do is just train their brain from the very beginning to have a specific thing to focus on, to have specific patterns of thought that they have every single time they do the skill, so that then when they bring up those patterns of thought, their body is automatically going to follow, even when the environment is unfamiliar and the other things are happening. Now, as we get closer to season, we're going to teach other things. Next month we focus in on the beliefs that they need to have in themselves, and then on creating self-confidence and some of all of those dealing with competition nerves, all of that comes. But when they already have this great pattern etched into their brain, these really strong roadways of mental choreography, it helps them have a anchor for all the rest of it. So what we have them do is so last week we suggested that you have them like write out all of their cue words for their major skills. And now we're just putting it together in a routine. So we're putting the affirmation that you say at the beginning of the event, the feeling you're trying to bring up, the cue words as you're going to say them. And then we begin, so we're going backwards, and we begin visualizing yourself doing that. So you're going to visualize, I go up to the beam, I think,
I've got this.
I've got this. What's a good beam one? We always use vault, but what's a good beam one?
I mean, I just said the beam is my B word, but it's fine.
Love it.
I mean, it works.
Huh?
It worked for me.
It works for you. So when it works for you, it's great. Yeah. So I am great at beam, or this, I've got
This
great.
is my event.
This is my event. I can be calm and focused. Like we went through a bunch of different affirmations before. So anyways, this is my event. I can be calm and focused. And so then they take a deep breath, and then they think their first cue word, and then they just visualize themselves thinking their cue words as they go through the routine. Then they start actually doing that. So then you can start training them to actually like, okay, what's your cue word? And you kind of have to put it, I mean, it's like when you choreograph your floor routine, right? When you're first putting it all together, it's a little clunky and you're like, no, wait, stop. Your hand should go here first before it goes there. You kind of have to do a little bit of that. Like, no, wait, stop. What are you thinking on this skill? Okay, wait, now what are we thinking on this one? And you might have to take a little time out of just getting numbers done to actually get this routine put in place. But it's the same way that you take time out to get your choreography done or create the routine in the first place. Like it's a necessary and helpful part. And so you put it together on each event. And then I don't teach them this, but I think I want to add it, is like, what are you going to tell yourself at the end? So we really like to teach them that they're going to make a commitment to themselves to treat themselves well no matter what happens, because what they're most afraid of is how they're going to treat themselves. And so practicing, what are you going to tell yourself at the end no matter what happens? And so I think that could be a fun one to add.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, any other thoughts on mental choreography?
Just do it. Because once it's in your brain, it's super easy then to start, like if they're nervous for a regional competition, if they've done it all season, then to like look up where regionals is, and then to be able to put this whole routine into that regional area and have it all figured out. And then when you start, like, I mean, I knew when I was taking breaths, like I would be visualizing and I would take my breaths when I'm like, felt like I took them in my routine. And it just like gets to the point where it feels like, in quotes, muscle memory, but it's like a whole routine memory. And so it's just amazing what it can do. And it really, really, really helps with that shutting off all the outside noise. Like it got to a point where I heard nothing while I was on. I mean, girls screaming, girls doing things, whatever. Honestly, there could have been a whole disaster on the side of me on the beam. I would have no idea because I just knew exactly a rhythm. It gave me the rhythm of what I was doing when I was doing it. And I just think it's incredible. And it changed my competition so much that I want everyone to have that experience.
You didn't do it in, did you not do it in club, but then started in college?
Not to this extent.
Yeah.
Not like near, like I learned, yes. So like my senior year of club, I made one beam routine total, probably at competition, not at practice, at competition. And by my senior year, I fell on one routine, and that was all.
Yeah.
And like, I was pretty limited in practice due to injuries. I had all sorts of labral tears and things in my shoulders that they didn't want to repair till I was done. And I was a stubborn gymnast, so I didn't want to be done. and so I mean, sometimes I would hit one cold set for like the week and then compete. And then everything else was mental training. And all like, it was just to that point where I felt like I was doing my routine so much mentally that it didn't even, like, if I just followed that up once or twice with a successful one physically, I was like, okay, cool, still works. Like, that's amazing. And I truly do believe it's just with the mindset part of it. And it didn't even have to do with because I even changed my series halfway through my senior year. And so like, I hadn't competed that series. And I think that because it was just a different combination of skills I've done, but like, because I knew what I needed to say, it was simple for me. So
yeah, I love it. And I remember like Leah Clapper, would talk about like choreographing and when she smiles, and like I was more on the dance coach side of things. So choreographing, when you point that finger and which direction the thumb is at, like putting some of that in, but again, having mental words for even the like, and artistry has become so much bigger. And so words, choreographing in cue words and mental choreography, that's going to help, like, how do you want to feel? What do you want to emote in this moment, and bringing all of that in. Is this a moment where you want to be sharp? Is this a moment where you want to be smooth? So many of my kids say, I want to feel floaty. Is this a moment where you want to feel floaty? Whatever it is, like getting all of that together and figuring it out. It will take some time out of practice. Like you're going to have to spend some time in practice going through this, figuring it out. You can assign them to do it outside, but you're going to have to spend some time with it, but it is so worth the payoff. So, all right. Next month, we are all on creating a belief that is going to really like be that foundational undergirding of everything in their competition season. So it is like one of the most important things. And we have a fun little process that we use to create and cultivate new beliefs, or to change beliefs that are problematic into ones that serve. So if I have a belief that I can't compete beam, being able to believe that beam is my B, anytime. And we have a process that we use. So we're going to be going through that next month. So make sure and stay tuned. We'll see you then. Bye.
I